And we are back, and they should be able to hear
Hello.
all of us. Okay, so
Jenny,
let's
though?
let's jump right back in because we've got probably about another hour of game, and then probably an hour of discussion and talking and that sort of thing. So, you finally get to sleep. I am eventually going to want to know what becomes of Calder's horns specifically. But for the time being, everyone gets to sleep. Everyone gets a good solid rest. Charlotte is able to take. It's only like a 10-minute cast to change your familiar, right?
It's an hour.
It's an hour. Okay, so at some point you're able to take that. Do you set up watches, or are you just relying on alarm to make sure you're all right?
I mean, Scoots doesn't need to sleep. He can just be doing tiny little perimeter marches with his 30-foot blind sight.
And you do have the
Stinky doesn't sleep.
and you're not able to be surprised because of Calder's warning weapon anyway. So yeah, you get through, no ambushes, no problem. You wake up the next morning refreshed, ready to go. And we will say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and say that you make it to a point where you recognize the trail with no further incident. Okay? You're able to sort of navigate your way using a combination of memory and Kretha's tracking ability to kind of figure out where the trail goes. And then we're going to say it's about a day and a half. We'll say it's about evening, not the next day, but the following day, when you get to town. Now, is Charlotte still putting out a broadcast to Bone Wolf every time she can, like every now and then?
Yeah, and I'm having, now that Scoots is Swoops again, having Swoops do passes over the canopy, see if they're, keeping an eye for orcs, but also if he can spot any sign of our map maker and Kevin Bonewolf.
And also
And Prettyfoot
and also the two commoners.
Yes, and yes. So as you approach, no, you don't get any response back from Kevin. As you approach the town, you recall this was a coal mining town, and you recall that the time that you are getting there is about the time you would expect to hear that horrible ear-splitting whistle. That would mean time to get off of work and go about your evening business. But there is no such whistle to be heard. And as you sort of make your way up, the silence becomes a bit more oppressive as you get closer to the town where you expect people to be milling about. I'm going to say you've probably got one more hill crest to go over before you see the town proper. Is there anything you do before that time?
I mean, maybe we should send Swoops ahead in case something happened to the town. I mean, from here, before when we approached from this distance, we could hear the town hustle and bustle, right?
Yeah.
We definitely should scout this.
I can go ahead. I can go ahead. I'll be fine.
We don't know what to hit though. I would send the bat.
Yeah.
Calder will cast invisibility on himself.
Calder vanishes.
Or you could do that.
I don't sense any difference.
So
Calder will then go over the hill ahead of everyone.
yeah. Go ahead and roll a stealth with advantage because you are not silenced.
No.
But you do get advantage because you are indeed invisible.
I'll take the 18.
Sounds good to me.
Can I
So,
roll perception for Swoops as he follows?
yes, go ahead and roll a perception for Swoops. This would be vision-based, though, so it doesn't get advantage.
Did that actually appear in the chat?
I did not see
Not
it,
yet.
no.
Let it sit
Alright.
for a bit because it might take a
Yeah,
bit for
that was
it to
happening
load
with
in.
Jen, too. Sometimes she would roll it, and then it would show up like a minute and a half later.
Yeah, we'll let it chill.
No worries.
It's all good.
Anyway, so the first thing that Calder and Swoops both notice as they sort of crest the last little hill before the town is that though the town isn't like actively smoking, this town has been burned recently. You see damaged buildings, you see again nothing that's currently on fire, nothing that's currently smoking. But there was definitely some violence here. Calder, as you kind of get a little bit closer, you don't see any bodies or anything like that, but there are definite like prints on the ground that suggest that there was a lot of movement here over the last day or so.
Like a mass evacuation?
It's hard to tell. I would need a survival check to see if you can make heads or
Well,
tails. There are a lot of footprints going in a
I'm
lot
thinking
of...
something a lot simpler. Are there horses? Are there carts? Because if the answer is no, it's probably an evacuation.
No, you do not see any fresh horse or cart tracks.
I'm not asking for the tracks. I'm asking, are there horses?
Oh, are there
or
actual horses or carts in the area? No, you don't see any.
Because if they're not present and not destroyed, then they probably left.
Let's go ahead and get that perception check, both from you and from Swoops. If you didn't, oh, you did. Okay, you got a 12.
I think it finally went through.
It did finally go through. So Swoops got a 12.
Let me get mine.
Oh,
I got a 4.
Oof. Well, these things happen. So you make your way forward, but you don't see anything immediately dangerous. Okay, so you sort of make your way forward. You see that the town is apparently empty and definitely damaged. What do you do?
I don't want to cast a spell or anything like that.
Swoops is going to be slightly circling you because Swoops can see you.
The only landmark I remember from the last villages are like the general store and like the governor's house.
Yep.
The mayor's house, whatever that guy was. I'll go to the mayor's house.
So are other folks, because other folks will obviously see the damage as well as they crest the hill also. Let's talk a little bit about other reactions. What are other folks up to? Calder looks like he's moving forward. Well, you can't see him, but Swoops is hanging around.
Through Swoops. I can see him. Yeah, Swoops is reporting back that the town's pretty burnt, looks pretty evacuated. They don't see any bodies yet, right? No bodies were seen?
Correct.
Where? Looks pretty vacant.
There's a possibility he's assaulted our situation.
We should go check too.
It's only been what, half a week about.
It took us a day to get there, day to climb in, 2 days in, another 2 days back. Yeah, it hasn't even been a full week. A full week, yeah.
Clarify. Weeks in Faerun are 10 days long. Things that, so like about half a week.
Are their years still 52 weeks long?
Their years are still 365 days.
All
this
right.
is probably good fodder for the talk after the fact. What are you all doing as you're making your way towards the town? It looks like Calder wants to find one of the places that he knew from before. Is anybody doing anything other than entering the town? And is anybody being particularly stealthy other than the invisible guy?
I mean, I don't know how stealthy I'm going to be going in with like a group of people. But
you
I
don't
definitely
have to go
want
in with us. You can go first.
Between now and next time, Kreetha, we'll talk about Pass Without Trace.
Okay.
It's a wonderful spell.
I'm going to head up. I'm going to stealth forward ahead of them to kind of catch up.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick content warning. because there's going to be a little bit of not particularly nice stuff in this town. So I'm going to throw that out there right away. So
Content warning: genocide.
You make your way in, and the first place that Calder goes to is the big sort of cafe / store that you all had breakfast in at the beginning. And when you peek your head inside, like, there's food on the table that's kind of got flies on it. It's definitely been, at the very least, several hours, probably more like a day or two since the fires have gone out, since whatever happened. It is when you peek around behind the cafe that you get your first real shock, and that is a mass of sort of twisted and piled up bodies against the wall, as though the populace of this town were picked up and hurled against this wall, kind of as just a place to store them. That said, a quick count tells you this is nowhere near the population of this village.
Calder will grit his teeth, but will not otherwise say or do anything to disrupt his invisibility.
You'll also note that, just at a quick glance, pretty much anything that is either valuable or serviceable has been stripped off of these bodies. Boots, shirts, weapons, jewelry.
Okay, that does narrow things down a bit.
Swoops is sticking within 60 feet of Calder as he advances.
Is Gale still sending out sendings? I'm sorry, is Charlotte Gale still sending out sendings?
Well, it's not sending, it's message. Different spell.
Message. Right, sending is a completely different spell.
I think at this point, cresting the hill, hearing from Lore and from Swoops what it looks like ahead, I don't think Charlotte's not going to do that unless she has an indication that there might actually still be somebody here. So she's not just passively doing it anymore.
Sounds
You
good.
could message. You could send a message to me, and I can tell you what I've seen.
True, I do know through Swoops where you are.
It's
And
only
Swoops-
Calder is in the town right now, right?
Calder was
Yeah.
the
I'm
first
in
one
the
through the
town
gates,
too.
but yes,
Yeah,
Kreetha
I'm coming
is
up behind.
creething up behind him, and
Creeping.
but the only one to see the thing so far is Calder, although Swoops notices and is able to report back a massive change in Calder's like his heart rate and such.
His body language.
His
has
body
definitely
language
changed.
changes a lot. Em, what were you about to say?
Where in relation to Calder is the governor's manor?
The governor's manor is forward past him, to the other side of the village.
Okay. I'm assuming it's relayed through Charlotte and Swoops and stuff. Charlotte, can you message Clarion and have him to go check out the governor's manor?
Who?
Yeah, Charlotte will completely not bring up the misname there and say, yeah, I'll message Calder. Sends the
Sorry,
message.
that's on me.
And yeah, I think continuing forward, Charlotte's she might not do well, but she's going to try to be not very obvious, so she's going to try for a stealth roll as her and Lore take up the rear.
No problem.
I understand that I have a disadvantage at stealth rolls, but can I give an aid for Charlotte's?
Like by
stealth?
guiding me around like loud things and
Yeah, like
Yes.
well, and also being like a distraction because I'm not going to be
Clang,
able to be
clang,
stealthy.
clank. Yes. Clang, clang,
okay.
clang goes the warlock. Anyway.
oh, that was the wrong button. But I rolled 2 2s.
Not great.
Not great.
It's fine.
Again, not great.
We are so good at stealthing.
Just-
dude.
Like as we get into town and like the first wave of the fucking like smoke and ash in the air passes, like Charlotte like gets coffee and like can't like like when you have that tickle in your throat that doesn't go away. So she's making noise as she's like coughing and walking forward.
And it's as she's coughing and walking forward. So yes, you'll move forward. And who is next past the inn?
That would be Kretha.
Kretha,
Yeah,
she's
yes.
probably.
following.
I'm kind of moving from shadow to shadow.
So Kretha, you see the same thing that Calder saw. You see the pile of bodies stacked up against the back of the inn. Go ahead and give me a survival check, because there are a lot of tracks around here, but there are a lot of tracks, so it's a little bit difficult to see. But with a 22, not bad at all.
Jesus.
With a 22, I will say that there was definitely large-scale combat here. And by the way, you're pretty sure that's a dead horse over there. But it does look like an awful lot of footprints are heading out in various directions out of the village. You're pretty sure that there are definitely going to be survivors. You also, with a 22, I will say that there is at least one set of boot prints that you see that are clearly armored boots and not like mining gear, and not just like the kind of boots that a guard would wear.
Are they large enough that they would be orc, or smaller?
No.
Like an...
They're definitely not orc boots. You're not sure what to make of it other than that there were definitely heavily armored beings as a part of this melee.
All right.
What are folks doing? Let's do a sort of round robin. Let's start with Kretha, since you're creeping about. What are you up to now that you've seen this and now that you've deduced what you've deduced?
I am going to sneak back towards Charlotte and Lore, if only because I don't know how I would find Calder. So I'm gonna kind of go that way, and so that I can relay.
Em, what's Lore up to in this time?
Laura's assisting Charlotte.
Okay, so
Not great. We're not being stealthy.
What are
but,
the two of you up to?
It just pops up.
I think Charlotte's gonna take a wild guess and see if something works. She's gonna put her hand on the hilt of the Durgadin dagger and say, "I wonder if your sight comes with me." And she's going to put her senses into swoops.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
I will ensure that she doesn't fall over or walk into a rock or some shit. As a side note, this type of shit, it makes me incredibly uncomfortable. So I'm gonna like kind of AFK for most of this.
No worries. We're moving forward fairly rapidly as well. So you put your senses into swoops, and Durgadin goes, "Whoa! What is happening right now?"
And I will mentally command swoops to get higher, get a bat's eye view, and see if there's any indication of a major direction that people might have fled in.
Give Swoops a perception check. He can go ahead and take advantage on this one.
Advantage. Ugh.
Okay.
Too much smoke in the air.
So oddly enough, so you find Swoops doesn't find anything of note, and you hear out of the bushes back the way you came, back from the road that you just took down into the town. You hear a gruff voice say, "Step forward, show yourselves."
I don't hear it. My senses are gone. Lore hears it. And Kretha, if she's made it to us by now.
And oddly enough, the warning sickle does not ping.
Yeah.
Well, we're not within 30 of...
Well,
yeah,
fair
they're
enough.
not within 30 yards of me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Is this guy
I'm
talking
pushing.
to us?
I don't hear any of this either. I'm making my way to the mayor's mansion.
I'm like right at a shadow, and I do not step out of it. Like freeze.
So
Like,
Lore
I'm
will
so
hear
close.
it. Kretha will hear it and step into hiding.
Yeah.
What you see are a pair of dwarves in boulder shoulder garb leveling crossbows. And at the moment, they're leveling them at you, but not at you. Like, the tips are down, so they're kind of pointed at the ground between you and them.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at these two guys and I go, she's blind.
Also deaf right now.
Yeah, but like the blind part is the part that matters.
They look at
'Cause
each
you're
other.
always blind.
They talk to each other in Dwarvish.
She can also speak Dwarvish, but not right now. I can't speak Dwarvish. It's kind of fucking rude considering we went into the goddamn mountain for your fucking king. So if you're gonna stand in our way, can you at least help?
So they lower the crossbows
Yeah, that's what I thought.
and they say, in common,
Thank you.
you didn't come from the village.
Why
Who
would
are
I come
you?
from a shit backhole town like this?
They look at you and they go, and one of them elbows the other one and says, says something again in Dwarven. And the first one goes,
That's
oh,
rude as fuck. Thank
Can
you,
I hear
though.
what they say in Dwarven?
Oh.
yes, you can. You pick out, no, I think this is them. Like them. And the first dwarf turns back to Laura and says, oh, I see. Yes. We're so glad you're safe.
Incredibly not amused face.
Did you encounter anything on the way here?
It's been, what, 5 days? And y'all already forgot who the fuck I was?
We've only been here for the past... They kind of turn and look to each other again. 24 hours, perhaps? We got here as the village was being sacked.
It took us, what, a week? Like a full 10 day to get to the village from the mountain or whatever?
Kind of.
Only a few days.
It was only a few days, yeah. So
To get... No, I mean, from...
From Adbar to the town.
Yes.
Only a few days.
Only a few days. So it's been less than a week. Yeah, I'm gonna rail into these guys about the fact that we were in your town less than a week ago and you already forgot who I was and who these people, who my associates are. Are you fucking kidding me?
Kraith is
He looks at you
backing
and
up into
says-
different shadows.
he looks at you and says, I've never seen you before in my life. Do you know how many dwarves there are over at Citadel Adbar? Do you think all of us dwarves look the same?
7?
Do you think that you met us specifically just because you met some dwarves at Citadel Adbar?
Look, I don't give a shit about commoners, and that's always been a thing. Just as a heads up, we have a goblin that is around here. Do not shoot the goblin.
Oh no. They kind of chuckle at that and they look at each other and they say, no, don't worry. We don't have a problem with goblins.
Yeah,
about
I'm not
giant
talking
frogs?
about you having a problem with the goblin. The goblin might have a problem with you. Also the giant frog. Do not shoot the giant frog or the bat.
Would you all like to maybe come with us and we can maybe sit down and talk about all of this? Maybe you'd like to talk to the survivors?
Sure.
Is it...
Walk.
He kind of looks over. Is it just you? I thought there were more of you.
I am standing right next to her, holding on to her.
Yes, you are. But he has not managed to see Kreitha.
They're already past you. The fact that you haven't seen them is like a knock against you already. So why don't you just walk and take me to the other people who are actually important?
He's in a tree. Kreitha's kind of creeping around, like keeping them in view, but definitely still staying hidden. Like, these people are crazy.
I'm
all of them.
assuming that Kreitha, the goblin, can hear me at some point and will follow along. But until then, we're just going to pretend that they're going to get there at some point and are going to completely avoid whatever, like, shit watch you guys have.
So
Oh, yeah, with my sneak
I would
scores.
say the as soon as Lore starts to like lead Charlotte away, she feels because you still have feeling when you do the census thing.
I'm assuming that Laura and Charlotte have done this like enough times that there's like a tap signal that like we're gonna start moving now again.
It comes back into her own senses.
And the dwarves lead you deeper into the, let's see, where did I say this was? This was kind of at the foot of the mountain.
I will also inform them that Charlotte is the nice one, and that they should respect her, and that I want their names.
So they lead you, and I don't have names for them, but I will come up with some.
Tick and tat.
Tick and tack. As you are kind of making your way deeper into the woods, they lead you to like almost a sinkhole in the ground where you would not notice that it was there. It's kind of in the middle of a copse of trees. There's kind of a sinkhole into the ground that leads down into almost like an oversized rabbit warren looking kind of thing.
Trench warfare.
Yeah, well, not quite trench because it's like all the way across the top as well. Think Watership Down with the roots in the in the ceiling. Yeah, scale.
Warfare. Okay.
Yes, a point of order. As soon as Charlotte is back aware and that they're heading away from town, she will shoot off a message to Creetha and Calder of the, hey, Boulder Shoulder dwarves are here and they're leading us to a meeting point. We're heading in the, what is it, southward direction? Yeah. You can respond to this message.
Okay, hold on.
Where am I when I
Creetha
get this
trips
message?
and cries out because she's never heard a message in her face ever.
Jeff, I'm gonna say
this, being able to hear this.
You are probably halfway to the mayor's house when the message hits your head.
Okay.
I trip, I fall, I hit my face. I make a loud ah! And
the dwarves kind of startled because they didn't see you there before.
Probably the goblin. I told you to be prepared for that, and you were still surprised?
Wait, who are you talking to? I'm not anywhere near you.
Calder will turn and kind of rush back to his fellows.
You will note before you do, though, you will note that the door to the mayor's house was completely destroyed inward, and that though the mayor's house is not like burned down, it definitely got a whole lot of damage to it as well.
Then Calder would check it out.
Yeah, and
like
we can wibbly wobbly.
He wants to verify he just needs to verify if anybody in the building is dead.
Let's see. I will say that he finds signs of struggle in there, including bloodstains that appear to be like being dragged. But you don't find any bodies in there, and you don't find any enemies in there either.
All right. Then on a practical level, he'll go to the next level up and try and find the mayor's stash. He was offering a very generous reward of gold for Orcans, is all I'm saying.
Has the house already been looted?
You do find the house has been looted. However, I'm going to go ahead and give you an investigation check anyway, because orcs don't necessarily check all of the nooks and crannies.
Okay. Oh, I wish I had an inspiration, because this would be where I would use it.
Do we have anything in chat right now that has been given? We got a +2 from DD Vampire Lady a little while ago, so you can take that.
We already used that.
Oh, you used that? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm double checking real quick. Nope, you can use that. That one hasn't been used.
A +2?
Yeah, get a +2. Kistrel, thank you also for the other one that you just dropped. I saw you do that.
I'm just picking a random.
We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toss of coins sitting.
19.
Okay. Yeah. So with a 19, I will say that though there isn't really any objects of jewelry or like really, most things have either been destroyed or taken, you are able to find a chest that was either too heavy or they just didn't notice it. It's got some coinage in it, which I am going to go ahead and drop into the chat with the additional. How many did you say?
5.
There are 5.
5,000 coins. Okay. Calder will isn't going to be like taking the chest. He is just going to grab whatever is valuable and stuffing it into his pack.